Councillors and staff, if I could have your attention, please. Councillors, the first one is a reminder that this evening we are live streaming, so we all need to be conscious of making our answers, questions, comments concise, and I've been told I need to slow it down. So please take that into account. I'm going to open the meeting at 5:30 p.m. as of now. And as we don't have a quorum at this point in time, but I'm assured that we will, with Councillor O'Meara having notified me that she's been called away but will be here within the next 10 or 15 minutes, can I have a mover that we adjourn the meeting to a maximum of 30 minutes? Moved Councillor Allison, seconded Councillor Davis. Anyone against? Carried. We're adjourned. Councillors, Councillor Mirror has joined us, which that now means we have a quorum to proceed with the ordinary council meeting for February 2025. Welcome everybody. It's great to see you here. I will make a disclaimer here in regards to this meeting will be video recorded and live streamed on the Shire's YouTube channel, with the exception of confidential items and periods of adjournment as determined by the presiding member. By being present at this meeting, members of the public consent to the possibility that their voice and or their image may be live streamed to the public. Recordings will also be made available on the Shire's YouTube channel and website following the meeting. The official record of the meeting will be the written minutes kept in accordance with the Local Government Act 1995 and any relevant regulations. So, councillors, just backtracking slightly, I will do the formal declaration of opening at 5:47, and I will go through those present in the room and those present online. So, with me on my left is our CEO, Tamara Clarkson. Tila is the minute keeper and governance and risk coordinator for this minute keeper for this meeting and governance and risk coordinator with our staff. We have Wayne Neate, Director of Infrastructure, Jill Brazil, Acting Director Corporate, Dale Putland, Acting Director Community Planning, Mark Davis, Executive Services Project Director Online, Jamie Cavella in the room, Manager of Development Services, Luke Lawrence, Manager Community Development, Peter Greening, Executive, and Peter is online, Executive Projects and Engagement Lead, Santana Rose in the room, Aboriginal Engagement Manager, Maria O'Connell, Coordinator Communications and Media, and councillors, we have Councillor Jeff Davis, Councillor Paul Bickerton, Councillor Brian Allison and Councillor Carissa O'Meara, and myself as the current Shire President, Peter McCumsty. I move now to the Acknowledgement of Country. In the spirit of reconciliation, the Shire of Derby West Kimberley acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout the Shire and the continued connection to the land, waters and community. The Shire of Derby West Kimberley would like to pay our respects to the people, the cultures and elders past and present, and the continuation of cultural, spiritual and educational practices of Aboriginal people. Attendance via telephone, and I did miss one person in that process. Online is also Megan Nashoda, the Manager of Community Development in Fitzroy Crossing. We do not have any councillors attending by remote telephone or instantaneous communications, but I will state that a council member may attend council or committee meetings by electronic means if the member is authorised to do so by the President or the Council. Electronic means attendance can only be authorised for up to half, 50% of the Shire's in-person meetings they have attended in total, in any rolling 12-month period. Authorisation can only be provided if the location and the equipment to be used by the councillor are suitable to enable effective and, where necessary, confidential engagement in the meetings, deliberations and communications. Item 5 on our agenda this evening is declarations of interest, and we have, I seek if anyone has a declaration of financial interest, noting that we have received one declaration of interest from Councillor Bickerton for item 20.3 in the agenda, which relates to the Derby Visitor Centre, and the reason for the declaration is financially because he was a previous board member. And Councillor Bickerton, I'm noting now, in normal circumstances, would be asked to leave the room while the matter was discussed. However, Councillor Bickerton leaves the room, we don't have a quorum, so the matter will lay on the table. But he has done his duty as a councillor and declared interest. Are there any other declarations of financial interest? Nil shown. Declaration of proximity interests. Nil shown. Declaration of impartiality interests. Nil shown. Responses to public questions taken on notice. We have none at this meeting or from the previous meeting. Applications for leave of absence, councillors. Do we have any applications for leave of absence at this point? Nil shown. Item 8, public time, 8.1 public question time. We don't have any public in the room. 8.2, public statements. Again, we don't have any public in the room. Item 9, petitions, deputations, presentations and submissions. There are nil. Item 10, announcements by presiding person without discussion. Normally, councillors, as you know, I would have a President's report to provide to you today, but a large amount of the content of that report was related to the CEO recruitment process and some meetings I had during and after that, but unfortunately, being delayed in my return to Derby, some of those items I'm still getting information together on. Suffice to say that, as always, on a 24/7 basis, any questions, comments or anything you may want to raise with me, please do. And I will, at the next council meeting, provide you with a full report should that eventuate. Item 11, confirmation of minutes of previous meetings, and we have several of those. The first one being that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the Shire of Derby West Kimberley held at Council Chambers, Clarendon Street, Derby on 12th December 2024 be confirmed. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Davis. A seconder, Councillor O'Meara. Are there any questions or clarifications? Anybody? I'll put it to the vote. Is anybody opposed? Item is carried 5-0. Recommendation that the minutes of the special meeting of the Shire of Derby West Kimberley held at the Council Chambers, Clarendon Street, Derby on 20th of December 2024 be confirmed. Do I have a mover? Councillor Bickerton, seconded Councillor Allison. Any questions or clarifications? I'll put it to the vote. Anyone opposed? Carried 5-0. Recommendation that the minutes of the special meeting of the Shire of Derby West Kimberley held at the Council Chambers, Clarendon Street, Derby on the 20th of February 2025 be confirmed. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Meara, seconded. Councillor Davis. Any questions or clarifications, councillors? There being nil, the item is carried 5-0. The recommendation is carried 5-0. Item 12, recommendations and reports of committees. And I go to the recommendation on page 16. And it reads, the Audit and Risk Committee recommends to Council 1. No, wrong one. Thank you. Thank you, CEO. And the attachments. We continue. So item 12, recommendation and reports of committees, we have nil. Reports from corporate services, 13.1. Minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on 12th of December 2024 and special council meeting held on the 20th of December. Recommendation that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 12th of December 2024 and special council meeting held on the 20th of December 2024 be received and recommendations therein be adopted. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Davis, seconded. Councillor Allison. Any questions or clarifications? I put it to the vote. Are there anyone opposed to the recommendation? Nil. Carried 5-0. Yep. So we move to item 13.4. No.
Just take these mine.
Yep.
13.2.
We move to item 13.2. Don't trust your sticky notes, they don't always play the game. Item 13.2, accounts for payment. And the recommendation, councillors, is contained on page 174 and reads, the attachments are the credit card reconciliation, 14th of the 10th 2024 to the 12th of the 11th 2024, and the other attachment is list of accounts for December 2024. The recommendation is that council accepts the list of accounts for December 2024 paid under delegated authority in accordance with the regulation 13 in brackets 1 of the local government in brackets financial management regulations 1996 attached to this report, totalling $4,565,026.66. Do I have a mover for the recommendation? Councillor Davis, seconded. Councillor Bickerton, any questions or clarifications? I put it to the vote. Is anyone opposed to the recommendation? Carried 5-0. .3 accounts for payment. The recommendation is contained on page 212. The attachments again are 1, the credit card reconciliation 13/11/2024 to 12/12/2024 and list of accounts for January 2025. The recommendation that council accepts the list of accounts for January 2025 paid under delegated authority in accordance with regulation 13 in brackets 1 of the local government in brackets financial management regulations 1996 attached to this report, totalling $4,004,892.02. Do I have a mover for that? Thank you. Councillor O'Meara, seconded. Councillor Davis, are there any questions or clarifications? I put it to the vote. Is anyone opposed? The motion is carried. 5-0.
Blue.
Go 5. Item 13.4, Statement of Financial Activity, December 2024. The recommendation, councillors, is contained on page 242. The attachments are one monthly financial report for December 2024. Recommendation reads that Council receives the monthly financial management reports incorporating the Statement of Financial Activity for the period ending 31 December 2024. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Meara, seconded. Councillor Allison. Any questions or clarifications? I put it to the vote. Anyone opposed? The item is carried 5-0. 13.5 in the agenda, councillors. Statement of Financial Activity for January 2025. The recommendation is contained on page 270. Attachments 1, Monthly Financial Report January. Recommendation that Council receives the monthly financial management reports incorporating the Statement of Financial Activity for the period ending 31 of January 2025. Do I have a mover? Councillor Davis, seconded. Councillor Bickerton. Any questions or clarifications? Nil. I put it then to the vote. Is anyone opposed to the recommendation or the motion of the recommendation? No. Then it is carried 5-0. Thank you. Moving to item 14.1, Executive Services, 2025 Ordinary Local Government Election, appointment of the Electoral Commissioner as returning officer. The recommendation is contained on page 298. One attachment is from the WA Electoral Commission cost proposal. The recommendation is that Council, by absolute majority, in accordance with section 4.20 in brackets 4 of the Local Government Act 1995, declare by an absolute majority that the Western Australian Electoral Commission be responsible for the 2025 Shire of Derby West Kimberley local government elections, and 2, include in the 2025/2026 budget an allocation of $25,000 for the 2025 local government election. Under the advice from the CEO, she has clarified that we don't have an absolute majority, so this item will lay on the table. Councillors? So I will move on with the agenda. Strategic Community Plan, item 14.2 in the agenda. The recommendation is contained on page 303. One attachment being the Strategic Community Plan. The recommendation is that Council note the information contained in the Strategic Community Plan report attached. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Meara, seconded. Councillor Bickerton. Any questions or clarifications?
Just on that.
Sorry, push your microphone.
Is your microphone? Yeah, it's not on, Jeff. Give it a couple of minutes. Thank you, Councillor Davis.
It says the information that you note the
Yep, I'll defer to the CEO to respond.
Through the chair, Councillor Davis, this report is not a compliance report, and we report activities of the strategic community plan. So this is an information for councillors.
So it's not a binding thing. This is just we note it so that it can be amended at some stage in the future.
Through the chair, yes, this is a report of activities against the themes within our current strategic community plan.
Right.
Comfortable, satisfied with that, Councillor Davis? Thank you. Are there any other questions or clarifications? In that case, I will put it to the vote. Is anyone opposed to the recommendation? No? Carried 5-0. As I said, sticky notes can give you an absolute pain in the butt. Item 14.4. Sorry? Item 14.3, award of tender T10-2024/25, Derby Recreation Centre lighting upgrade and fencing replacement. The recommendation is on page 10. 10? No.
310?
Yep, page 310. And the attachment is the confidential price summary, councillors, in your documents. Recommendation that Council 1, award tender T10-2024/25, Derby Recreation Centre lighting upgrade and fencing replacement to West Coast Building and Construction. And 2, authorises the Chief Executive Officer to sign a contract with West Coast Building and Construction. Do I have a mover? Moved Councillor O'Meara, seconded Councillor Allison. Are there any questions or clarifications? Nil. I then put it to the vote. Is there anyone opposed? Carried 5-0.
I've received advice and we can go back to
Councillors, we've sought advice from the appropriate people in regards to item 14.13.5? 14.1, which is...
Yeah, executive services.
Yep, under executive services, and we can in fact put it to the vote because we have, should we get an absolute majority in the room of us attending. So I'll reread the recommendation and it relates to the WA Electric Commission cost proposal. Recommendation is 1, council by absolute majority in accordance with section 4.20 in brackets 4 of the Local Government Act 1995, declare by an absolute majority that the Western Australian Electoral Commission be responsible for the 2025 Shire of Derby West Kimberley local government election, and 2, include in the 2025/2026 budget an allocation of $25,000 for the 2025 local government election. Do I seek a mover and seconder again?
Yes,
Is there a mover for the recommendation? Councillor Bickerton, seconded. Councillor O'Meara. Any questions or clarifications? Councillor Davis.
Is that standard for every election that we chuck in that sort of amount?
Yes, my understanding is, I will defer to the CEO. It's in the vicinity, I believe, of what we paid last time, but over to the CEO.
Thank you. Through the chair, the quote received from the West Australian Electoral Commission is approximately $22,592. exclusive of GST. So we have allowed for an allocation of that much to allow for any incidentals that are incurred.
Councillor Bickerton.
Is that actually enough to cover what we're trying to achieve? Like, obviously up here, there's a lot more distance and all that sort of stuff that we've got to go through with the Shire. So the budget, long as that's been worked out and that's enough.
Thanks, Councillor Bickerton. I'll ask the CEO to expand on what the Electoral Commission is proposing.
Through the chair, they have estimated the costs of all aspects of that election for supplying it, and they're aware because they've done it previously for our Shire. So that includes their time and the increases that will come with CPI. There may be additional engagement that staff can undertake to encourage participation, but for the compliance element of delivering an election, that should be sufficient.
Thank you. Any further questions or clarifications on that item? I'll put it to the vote. Anyone opposed? Carried 5-0. 14.4.
Yep.
That's next.
Yep.
Item 14.4, minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on the 20th of February 2025. Attachments: 1, unconfirmed minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee, February 2025. Recommendation that the Audit and Risk Committee recommends that Council receive the information contained in the report detailing outstanding rates and sundry debtors as at the 13th of January 2025. Recommendation, do I deal with these individually or collectively? Yep.
On block.
Yep, on block. Recommendation that the Audit and Risk Committee notes the areas of non-compliance in the 2024 compliance audit return, and 2, authorises the President and Chief Executive Officer to jointly certify the compliance audit return and submit it to the Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries by the 31st of March 2025. Recommendation that the Audit and Risk Committee receives the information contained in the report detailing council members' meeting attendance, in brackets, including via electronic means. Recommendation that the Audit and Risk Committee recommends that council receive and note the information contained in the Shire of Derby West Kimberley Risk Register, January 2025. Recommendation that the Audit and Risk Committee recommends that council note the information contained in the Shire of Derby West Kimberley Internal Controls January 2025 report. Recommendation that the Audit and Risk Committee recommends to council that the following reports be noted. 1, Fitzroy Crossing Aerodrome Manual. Recommendation that the Audit and Risk Committee recommends that council receive and note the information contained in the People and Cultural Report. Do I have a mover for those recommendations, please? Councillor Davis, seconded. Councillor Bickerton, are there any questions or clarifications? None? I put it then to the vote. Or anyone opposed? Carried. 5-0. Keep popping books. Item 14.5, Compliance Audit Return 2024. And the recommendation is on page 479. The attachments is the Compliance Audit Return 2024. The recommendation is that Council 1, note the areas of non-compliance in the 2024 Compliance Audit Return, and 2, authorises the President and Chief Executive Officer to jointly certify the compliance audit return and submit it to the Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries by the 31st of March 2025. Do I have a mover for the recommendation? Councillor Davis, seconded Councillor Councillor Bickerton, my apologies. Any questions or clarifications? None. I put it to the vote. Is anyone opposed to the recommendation? Carried 5-0. Item 15.1, application to install 2 grids on the Fairfield-Leopold Road by the Department of Biodiversity, Conservation and Attractions. Attachments is the Department of Biodiversity, Conservation and Attractions letter. The recommendation, councillors, reads that Council 1 approve the installation of 2 new grids on the Fairfield-Leopold Road, and 2, instruct the Chief Executive Officer to write to the Department of Biodiversity, Conservation and Attractions, advising the Department of the approval to install the 2 grids on the Fairfield-Leopold Road, and also to confirm that all costs for the installation, ongoing maintenance, cleaning and future replacement of the grids becomes the responsibility of the Department of Biodiversity and Attractions. Do I have a mover for the recommendation? Councillor Bickerton, seconded Councillor Allison. Questions or clarifications, councillors? Nil. I then put it to the vote. Is there any councillor opposed to the recommendation? None. I then declare it carried 5-0. Item 16, Development Services, we have nil. 17, Community and Recreation Services, we have nil. Item 18, motions of which previous notice has been given, there are nil. Item 19, new business of an urgent nature, there is nil. Matters for which the meeting may be closed, confidential matters. So, councillors, I would like a mover that we go out of camera for the purpose of the confidential item. Can I have a mover? Councillor Davis, seconded Councillor Bickerton. Any questions or clarifications? Then we move out of camera for discussion on the confidential matter. Yep. All those, anyone opposed to the recommendation? Carried 5-0. So we do wait for 20 seconds plus for the live stream to catch up with us. Thank you, councillors, and to anyone who is live streaming, apologies for the length of time that we were debating and deliberating the confidential items. That is a normal process of council. We now move back to the main agenda, or the agenda, starting with item 21, which is the closure of the meeting. 21.1 is date of next meeting, which is the 27th of March at 2025, to be held at Fitzroy Crossing. I then move to 21.2 and declare the meeting closed, councillors, at 6:50 p.m. Thank you for your